And the fact that River Phoenix, who plays Chris, he really did die in his early 20s. And so the fact that the movie made this change to only have his character end up dying is pretty eerie. Like, if the movie had all three die like the book did, it would still be kind of a coincidence about River Phoenix, but maybe not quite as weird. And kind of along those lines with how crazy it is how Chris's fate and River Phoenix's kind of are similar, I also wanted to mention how crazy it is how similar the background of each of these boys' lives were to the characters they were cast as. And that kind of explains why they were cast in these roles, because clearly there was something about this character they identified with, and so their auditions just were so real. But for example, Will Wheaton, he came from a family where he felt invisible, right? He did not want to be an actor, and yet his mom pushed him into it, and it didn't matter what he said. And he also had a love of writing, and as an adult, he went on to publish best-selling books. Also, by the way, the movie chose to, as I will get into, the movie chose to focus a bit more on Gordy and him processing his brother's death, and he's the one that pulls out the gun. And the reason they chose to focus more on him in that way was also because Rob Reiner also connected more with the character of Gordy. And so while Chris is still an important character, of course, they chose to focus even more on Gordy in some ways. But then also Vern had the least trauma going on, and that is true of the actor as well. And he was very much like the character of Vern. And then River Phoenix, he also was a kid who was kind of wise beyond his years. In a sense, he was raised in a cult with his parents, but then when he was a kid, they left the cult and came back to America. And so he was used to traveling and having to talk to people and, getting into acting at a young age and being relied on for money. And then Corey Feldman, he came from abusive parents, just like Teddy. And before auditioning for this movie, he had tried to commit suicide by taking a bunch of pills, which is insane that someone so young would want to end their life, right? That's so tragic and horrible. And it reflects Teddy, who also has a death wish, right? And he stands in front of the train, like basically wanting to be hit by it. And he probably would have stayed there and been killed had they not pulled him off the tracks. And so, yeah, it's just, as far as Corey Feldman goes, like that is just so sad and so horrible. Yeah, so it's just, I think this film was so cathartic for so many of them because their lives were so similar to the characters they played. Also, a kid loses everything if there's not someone to look out for them. That includes their own life, right? Either literally or figuratively. So yeah, again, I just think that line is so powerful and so sad and so incredible and so true.